One thing that stood out with Peyton when I was sitting in that meeting for the first time, and I mean, he just kind of just took over the room. You know, normally you have the
OC.
Yeah, the OC offensive coordinator, install the plays, go over everything. But Peyton was the one who stood up like a general. That was pretty phenomenal to me. I've never seen anything like it. I've played with some awesome quarterbacks, but he was just different.
When you play against Peyton Manning, you're playing against the quarterback and the game planner and the offensive play caller.
Peyton Manning used to look up, I'm convinced, our starting secondary, their wives' names. He'd be like, Tanisha Smith. Hey, my guys are like, hey man, that's my wife.
When you think about the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, Peyton Manning has gotta be one of the first names that comes to the mind. The former Colt and Bronco was the easiest of first ballot Hall of Fame inductions, retiring after 18 seasons of epic production that saw him win 2 Super Bowls and 5 MVP awards, which is the most of any player in NFL history. You have to be special to earn a nickname such as the Sheriff, and this guy certainly was. And in today's video, we're going to listen to exactly what NFL legends said, explaining what made Peyton Manning a monster in the NFL. Now, Peyton Manning entered the league as the first overall pick in 1998, and at the time, it was a close debate between him and Ryan Leaf as to who would be honored with the first overall selection, but as we all know, the debate ended very shortly after. The two players could not have had more drastically different careers, with Peyton going on to become one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and Ryan Leaf quickly becoming one of the biggest busts we have ever seen. And that's the thing too, is many people thought that there was a debate on who the Colts would select first overall, but as we've come to know it now, the Colts had no doubt of who they would be picking with that first overall selection. Basically, the Colts were sold on Peyton Manning the moment they met him for the first time. And that's the thing too, as we'll come to learn throughout this video, it's Peyton Manning's football IQ and attention to detail that really set him apart, and this was apparent early on before he even heard his name called on draft night. The Indianapolis Colts general manager and Hall of Famer Bill Polian remembers just how unusual the pre-draft interview was with Manning, telling ESPN he asked a number of questions about the offense, about the team, and about offensive philosophy, and then all of a sudden the horn blew and we looked at each other and man, we didn't get any questions in. He asked all of them. He left the room and we said, holy mackerel, he interviewed us, not the other way around. And that's kind of what we came to learn as we all watched Peyton Manning play in the NFL, is he was an unfair advantage while he was on the field. He had the physical tools required to dissect a defense and toss touchdowns, but more importantly, had the mental capacity to read and manipulate like no one else. If you ask legends like Joe Montana and Dan Marino about Peyton Manning, who both obviously know a fair amount about playing at the quarterback position, they both immediately hone in on the exact same thing.
Well, I think he's a tremendous quarterback. I mean, you look at the way he does things and goes about it. You know, he's like an offensive coordinator with a helmet on, and that's how he approaches the game, because he basically calls the plays. And he's got a lot of freedom that way, and a lot of luxuries that way. And it also makes the game a little, I won't say easier, but he knows what's coming, he knows what he's planning. And sometimes when you get plays from the sideline, sometimes you go, oh my God, what is this for? You know, yeah. Right. In your mind, you're going, okay, where's this coming out of left field?
And that's the thing too, Dan Marino was also quick to point towards Manning's ability to control things from the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, he's very cerebral at the line of scrimmage, calls his own plays, very demanding, you know, a guy that, you know, you could tell is in total control of his offense and what he's doing.
And as they just said too, that's exactly what made Peyton Manning such a special player and truthfully one of my favorite players to watch growing up. And don't get me wrong, because of course it does help to have a strong arm like Patrick Mahomes or to be able to run like Lamar Jackson, but ultimately what goes on between the ears is just as important. Both Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, two players who will go down as some of the best to ever play at the position, were renowned for their advanced ability in this area. The speed with which Peyton could identify what the defense was giving him and then somehow react was truly elite, and the reason he's in the Hall of Fame. Like, I mean, hell, it's as crazy as it sounds too, he literally would dedicate some of his bandwidth to even just messing with the opponents on the defensive side of the ball during the game sometimes.
Peyton Manning used to look up, I'm convinced, our starting secondary, their wives' names. He'd be like, Tanisha Smith. Hey, my guys are like, hey man, that's my wife.
Not only that, but if he decides he doesn't like what he sees, he can manipulate the defense to move you into a more preferable coverage for what he does want to do. I mean, as Gerald McCoy puts it too, the guy is an absolute computer.
I believe Peyton Manning is a computer. One time we were playing him, he literally told us what we were about to do. He was like, those guys are pinching. And we wasn't moving, we wasn't showing anything, but he was like, yeah, those guys are pinching. I kind of looked at him like, no, I'm not. I really was. If you're not in the defense he wants you in, he will put you in that defense. I mean, he just commands the game and he makes it whatever he wants it to be, and that's why he's so great.
And yes, of course, Peyton had all the other essential tools you needed as well at the quarterback position. His 71,940 yards ranks third on the all-time passing yardage leaderboard, as do his 539 touchdowns. And that's the thing too, you can't do that without superb arm talent, accuracy, and anticipation. Peyton regularly ranked among the best quarterbacks from a completion rate perspective, topping out with 68.6% in the 2012 season, which led the league, and he also led the league with 67% in 2003. Between 2002 and 2014, Manning only dipped below a 66% completion rate twice, and even then, he was still at 65%. He was very much a quarterback who made life easy for his teammates, as was explained by the late great Demaryius Thomas.
On some of my deep balls, you know, I'll be covered sometimes, and you know, he just put it in the hole. You know, it's just like catching tissue paper because it's right in the basket.
Thomas also told the Denver Post about how much it would wind up his opposing defensive backs, saying, "You hear the DBs out there saying, you're lucky. With any other quarterback but Peyton, that would have been a pick." They really got frustrated. And one of the reasons these defensive backs got so frustrated at going up against Peyton Manning is not just that his throws were always on the money, but that they were always thrown with such elite anticipation as well. With him getting the ball out so early, there's far less time for the defender to read what he's doing and make a play on it. Emmanuel Sanders, a former Denver wideout, told the Denver Post just how easy that made his life. He lets the ball go early. He's one of the best anticipation quarterbacks ever. Right when you get your head around, the ball is there. That's what you want as a receiver because he gives you the opportunity to run after the catch. The other thing that made Peyton Manning such an effective and just such an entertaining quarterback to watch growing up was just his willingness to be so aggressive and really just take risks down the field. He always knew where the weakness in the defense was, and you bet he had the willingness and the arm talent to attack it. But beware, as soon as you mix things up and try to counteract him, you bet he had the answer for that as well. Ray Lewis spent a lot of time going up against the greats like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, so who better to listen to it when it comes to explaining why they were both so special?
Peyton is the opposite. Peyton, first play of the game, I'm going at you. I'm going deep first play of the game. First play of the second half, I'm going at you, right? You show me a cover one, I get one-on-one outside, I see the safety bite in the middle, I'm going outside. You show me a cover two, I'm a check, run. You show me a cover three, I'm gonna come back with a comeback, I'm gonna come back with a hook, I'm gonna come back with a curl, out route. That's how fast it was. You had to know each defense has its weakness and you can't show the weakness. So each one of them had different things that you had to study.
The combination of elite skill and IQ led to 5 MVP awards between 2003 and 2013, starting with a 4,267-yard, 29 touchdown effort with the Colts, and culminating with a crazy 5,477-yard, 55 touchdown effort as a Denver Bronco. That insane season came with Peyton Manning as a 37-year-old quarterback and saw him break NFL records for passing yards and touchdowns in the process. And on top of him being a 37-year-old quarterback who was in his 16th season, Manning delivered that epic 5,477-yard, 55 touchdown effort 2 years after missing the 2011 season due to injury. Manning overcame multiple serious neck injuries and spine surgeries throughout his career, and many believed his playing days were done after missing the 2011 season. It's one of the reasons the Colts decided to move away from him, but there he was just a few years later winning his 5th MVP award before collecting his 2nd Super Bowl 2 years after that. Like, as crazy as it sounds, Peyton Manning was just a master at the quarterback position. And I think that's something we can all take away from this video too, is just that his understanding of the game and just his football IQ were just off the chart while he was playing in the NFL. I mean, hell, when you have arguably one of the smartest NFL coaches in NFL history saying this about you, yeah, you're probably pretty special.
When you play against Peyton Manning, you're playing against the quarterback and the game planner and the offensive play caller. So it's really all three wrapped up into one. So all the tendencies from other games and all the, they did this against the Bears and they did this against, Buffalo and did against, that doesn't really mean anything. He's playing you. He's under center. He's got the game plan. He's going to handle the protections. He's going to make the adjustments, and he's going to call the plays, and he's going to execute the plays. So you got to really figure out how he sees the game, because in the end, that's going to trump everything else. And it's unusual to see, a quarterback like that. He's a little different than any of the other ones. So call it a chess game, call it a matchup, but he was all those wrapped up into one. So. You've got to know that. You got to know who the play caller is. You got to know who's making the game plan, and you got to know how the quarterback thinks. And that was all Peyton Manning.
So is that a yes?
He was hard to play against, absolutely.
But all these advantages that Peyton finds on the field don't come with brain power alone. They come with meticulous preparation and a dedication to being great. Former Colts coach Jim Caldwell got to see firsthand how one of the legends of the sport prepared for his game and how it changed their entire organization's approach. NFL teams often had 4 or 5 teams in the system to review. Over in Indy, Manning wanted the Colts to have 10, and he personally helped break 5 of them down and analyze them with position coaches, and Caldwell even told ESPN, "He's highly unusual. You'll never find anybody in the history of the game that works like he worked. No one." I've been around a long time, and I've seen a lot of hard workers, coaches, and players, and no one measures up to him. Another player who saw firsthand the impact that Peyton had on the Indianapolis Colts was Jeff Saturday, Manning's former center. He told ESPN about how Peyton's quarterback role extended off of the field, not only in how he prepared, but how he prepared those around him. As a quarterback, you are the face of the franchise, and it's on you to set the standard and demand the best from your guys. And Peyton certainly did that during his time in the league. Jeff Saturday went on to say that Peyton Manning redefined the culture of an organization, the way that he conducted himself, staying in Indy in the off seasons. I mean, like, he really became a part of the team and challenging at every level, whether it was management, coaching staff, other players. Those things to me were what really separated him. And as we all know too, during Manning's 13 seasons as a Colt, the team only missed the playoffs twice. They won 1 Super Bowl and reached another, having only reached the playoffs 3 times in the previous 21 seasons before Manning's arrival. He really did transform that franchise and deliver them an epic era of football, and that frankly deserved a lot more than just 1 Lombardi trophy. Overall though, Peyton Manning was just the ultimate leader, planner, quarterback, coordinator, competitor, and teammate. He will go down as one of the greatest NFL players of all time and is firmly etched into the history.
Like any, I think, great quarterback, there's a lot of responsibility that you take on. You want to make sure, everything's a reflection of how you see the game, and you want to make sure everyone's on the same page. And when everyone's seeing it through the same set of eyes, it's a great way to play football. And, working with the coaching staff, because ultimately you're the player on the field, there's no perfect play that can always be called for every defense, and the quarterback, they have to, the coaches have to trust the quarterback to get it right. And I think a guy like Peyton, the coaches, when I think of Coach Moore and Coach Clyde that were here working with Peyton, Coach Dungy, they had so much trust in Peyton to get things right. And he always did. So